everybody. Today's lesson is for Friday, March the 20th. And before we begin, let's just have a word of prayer and then we'll get started. Father in heaven, thank you for these students. I pray, Father, that you would be with them as they're at home trying to learn. Be with their parents. Have had to give up a lot because of this epidemic, and I pray, Father, that you would just provide for them financially. I pray that the scare and all these things that are going will die down and we can go back to normal, be with the kids, keep them healthy. All the teachers, as they try to do this distant teaching, help us to remember to love one another and be kind. In your name, amen. Okay, so yesterday we talked about the motives for colonization. We talked about economics, the nationalists, one of the reasons why. Anybody remember about economics? Let's see. Lily, do you remember why economics was so important? Because it served as an alternative to free trade, to get, the raw materials they needed and things like that. But remember I said that trade is only important. I don't know what that, I'm sorry, I'm trying to find a place to, it's kind of hard to find a place to do this. It's only fair when you're dealing with, when it's comes across. I used that example of when I was little and I would try to divide things evenly with my sister, which I never did. And then we talked a little bit, I mentioned nationalistic, which enabled European states to stake a claim as a world power. That's what they wanted to do. Religious protection for evangelistic opportunities. But remember that true religion or true Christianity comes from spreading the gospel and not through conquest. And then there was the racial aspect of it. But we're going to talk a little bit about the phases of this conquest in Africa, which, if you think about it, okay, when I talk about phase one, we're going to talk a little bit about phase one. And phase one was when these European powers would go to these African nations, go to these chiefs, and they would basically sign a treaty. If you give us this land, or if you do this, we're going to protect you. We're going to do what you want. The thing is that the treaty was not written in the African language for these chiefs to understand, but they signed it anyway. Maybe they were thinking, these guys are nice, they're not going to lie to us, or we need protection from the neighboring countries and stuff like that. So they decided they'd sign without knowing what they were signing for, without reading the fine line. And often they would not read, or they would surrender control of their rights without realizing what they were doing. They didn't realize they were giving up their land. They didn't realize they were giving up their position. Some did it without a fear. Some just did it because they wanted to. There was one man, though, that didn't. It was an African king. It was the name of Masimba of the Yahoo tribe, and he told the German authorities, no, I'm not going to do it. We're fine without you. There was a conflict between them, but he refused. He refused to do it. He wanted friendship with Germany, but he refused to do it under oppression. But he also said he was prepared to fight. In fact, and it wasn't until later where he was captured. But think about phase one. These Europeans went and had the Egyptians sign this treaty over to them without reading. But that's just what we did. Not we, but in general, Americans did, or the early Americans did, when it came to the Indians. The African chiefs signing treaties without knowing the consequences. It was the same thing as the American Indians. They gave up their land. They were here first. They gave up their land because, sorry about that. See, I'm just trying. I'm so sorry. I dropped my thing. I knew that was going to happen. I did order a tripod, so that should come in before next week. They both did so without understanding the European concept of private property. We've talked a lot about socialism and communism. Socialism takes away private property. It goes into things like that. And we want to stay as far away from that as possible. We don't want to become communistic. So that was phase one. Phase two, to make sure that the territory of Africa did not lead to war. They would meet with each other, the people in other European countries. They would meet together and they would talk with one another, whether it be Germany or France or England. But they wouldn't include the Africans there. They would just say, okay, we're going to take over this land and this is what we're going to do, but not involve them, which basically is kind of like taking away your rights. Okay, they did this thing that they did was called the Berlin Conference, and you'll read a little bit about that in your section today. By the way, I don't know what happened, but the lesson plans, what you were to read, you need to read pages 272 to 273. That's what we're talking about today. I got a little bit ahead of myself yesterday, so we'll do the other later. So we might be at a little date. We're still trying to work things out this way. And then the last thing I wanted to talk a little bit about was, where did it go? Oh, if you read phase 3, Africans' reaction with these. Can you imagine being at home and all of a sudden just minding your own business and all these ships came up and troops off the west just came to your town? They did realize in the Africans, this was carefully planned. Let's take over, but it wasn't just a spur of the moment thing. They planned this, the Europeans planned it. And the Africans had no warning, and they were conquered and captured and caused a lot of problems that way. You could read on page 273 about Samurai Turai's resistance and how he established a Muslim empire. Other than that, I think that's basically all that you have to know. Make sure that you read the section, and also if you haven't gotten the message, when you do the activity manual, we're not doing that anymore. All you have to do is write like two or three sentences of, sorry, my family's coming in right now, 2 or 3 sentences of what you learned that day, whether it be from something I said on the video or something that you read. You can, send it to me on Remind, and I'll just keep record of that, right? If you have any questions, go ahead and send me a text, and hopefully it'll be okay, and this will be easy for you. I hope you have a great weekend, and I pray that I'll see you guys soon. Bye.